Hello everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 251. Andrew Eisen here. So, it's been a week since the last episode of this podcast that I do weekly. Except for those weeks where I'm busy. I don't know, I don't think I've missed a weekend in a while. Probably because I never leave to do anything. But I'll definitely, as I mentioned last week, I'm hosting one of the panels at Gen Con virtually this year, so I may not have, what is that, the 11th? Something like that? Yeah, so maybe we'll not have a podcast on Saturday the 11th. I'm not sure yet, because that's going to depend on how the schedule shakes out. Probably definitely not going to have a Sunday stream that week. But that's a ways off. So, tomorrow for the Sunday stream, we are going to go back to the Great Ace Attorney. Because when we played it the week before last, we didn't actually get to the courtroom. Somebody got moited. And we didn't even quite get to... We played it for nearly 5 hours, and we just got to the point where someone died, and we had to start investigating. So, tomorrow we're going to go back to Great Ace Attorney and investigate and do some courtroom stuff, because I'd like to show some of that. That's the actual gameplay part of the game. That separates it from just being a visual novel. So I was thinking about Ace Attorney this week, because we're playing it tomorrow. And I was thinking, you know what? A lot of the elements that we're going to see in the courtroom in The Great Ace Attorney, if I'm not mistaken, were actually introduced in Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. Stuff like that. Hello, Chicago. Stuff like multiple witnesses and finding the contradiction between two different witness statements. That stuff, I believe, was all introduced in Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. And so I was thinking about that. And I was thinking about, you know what? I never played Professor Layton and the Azran Legacy, whatever that last game was. I never did play the Lady Layton game or the Layton Brothers game. I think that one was a mobile only game. Lady Layton I never played, and the last Professor Layton, and that was mainly because I felt like the Layton games kind of ran out of steam. I thought Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright was pretty good, but I felt like, especially in some of the later games, some Last Spectre, and Miracle Mask, or something like that, those last games, the puzzles were starting to get very samey. You were starting to really go, oh yeah, I've seen this type of puzzle before. But I mean, after 3, 4, 5 games with, 100 and some odd puzzles in each one, that's understandable. But it's one of the reasons why I never got that game. And then I started thinking, I remember the last Phoenix Wright game. I love the Phoenix Wright games too. I've played them all, including now the spin-offs, Great Ace Attorney, which I'm glad were localized. I haven't played the second Ace Attorney Investigations game, which has never been released here, and I thought that was really good too. They really should localize that game. It's really good. Chicago asks, I've never played the Layton games. I heard they were good. I don't know what they're about. Are they detective games? They are detective games in the sense that there is a mystery and Professor Layton, as the protagonist, does solve it. But really what it is a puzzle game with a narrative wrapper. So, Professor Layton is a narrative that gives you an excuse, a weak excuse, but an excuse nonetheless, to solve various different brain-teasery puzzles. So think of something like maybe Brain Age, only with a narrative. So that's kind of what it's like. So Professor Layton and his little protege Luke will go to a town, and they'll where there's oh my gosh, everybody turned into stone. Oh, there's a mystery here. We must solve it. Let's interview this person over here. Hey, person, what do you know about people? Hello, Lee. What do you know about people who've turned to stone? And the person goes, I may know something, but I just can't focus on that because I'm stuck on this puzzle. Help. And then you do a puzzle. And that's really you just go around talking to people, and they'll give you puzzles to do. You investigate the environment, and you unearth more puzzles to do. And but you, the player, don't really solve the case. Professor Layton does. You're just there for the puzzles, and then you figure out how. I mean, maybe you'll figure out what's going on, but it's stupid. So you're probably not going to figure out what's really going on, because it's not that it doesn't make sense, it's just impossible. My favorite is, I think, the third one. It's called something like The Unwound Future, where the gimmick is Professor Layton and Luke get stuck in a time machine and go back or forwards in London 5 years. And you're like, how is that possible? Time travel's real? I mean, what's really going on? I mean, we're in a different era of London. All these same people don't know us and are acting like the last 5 years, or it's 5 years earlier or 5 years later, I don't remember. And I'm going to spoil it for you because it's kind of funny. But I mean, the game is about solving puzzles, so I wouldn't worry too much about the narrative. So you think about, okay, so if it's not time travel, did someone just, I don't know, build an entire alternate version of London and staff it with actors to pretend that it's 5 years in the future, 5 years in the past, or whatever it is, just to trick Professor Layton and Luke? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And you're like, what? No. That's, I mean, okay, it makes sense, but that's logistically just impossible. Oh, but it gets worse. Oh, it gets so much more ridiculous and worse than that, and if you want to play the game, I won't spoil it for you. It's not stupid in an off-putting way. It's stupid in a hilarious and charming way. So Chicago says it's like an interactive novel. They threw in puzzles just to get the player something to feel included in the story. Yeah, kind of. I would say that Ace Attorney Investigations, the ones that star Miles Edgeworth, I would say those are actually better detective games than either the Layton or the Phoenix Wright games. I think that one, Ace Attorney Investigations, actually feels more like a Professor Layton and Phoenix Wright crossover than the actual crossover. I think the problem with Phoenix Wright versus Professor Layton, other way around, Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright, is it's cool to see the characters come together and bounce off each other, but the different types of gameplay, the courtroom stuff and then the puzzle stuff, is very separate, with, I think, like maybe two. There's one puzzle where you like turn your thinking around and yell objection at something, and there's one point in one case where you actually solve a puzzle, but that's about it. Other than that, the puzzles and the courtroom stuff is kept pretty separate. Ace Attorney Investigations, I think, does a much better job of combining puzzle solving with legal drama. So they should definitely, legitimately, local. Lee says it's boring. Okay. Lee says Ace Attorney I think might be better. It really depends on what you want out of a game. The Ace Attorney things are at least... The narratives in Ace Attorney, I think, are at least a bit more logical. Both Layton and Phoenix Wright are usually pretty logically consistent. Like there's very little cheat. It's like, oh well, that doesn't work. There is some stuff in the Layton games that just flat out doesn't work. But the difference for me is that the stuff that happens in Phoenix Wright, in the heightened reality of the game, where this bonkers ass court system is actually a thing, it seems reasonable, or at least seems feasible, that something like that could have happened. In Professor Layton, when you get to the twist as to what's really going on, you're like, okay, sure, it logically makes sense. Alright, you built an entire copy of London and staffed it with actors, but I mean, logically, yeah, that would work if you could do that, but that's just logistically impossible. It's just not logically feasible. So, Chicago says, I've been playing Phoenix Wright Trilogy. It's interesting that's why I considered checking out Layton. They seem to be only on Nintendo portable systems. I think, well, they have... some of them, at least, are on mobile, but I don't know if they're on any of the other platforms. Anyway. Greetings, Cafe Fox. The point I was making was I was thinking... I played the Phoenix Wright games, and I remember I played the fifth one. I think it's called Dual Destinies. And that one, unfortunately, was digital only. So it was one of those that because they released it digital only, and it had DLC, which was like $6, and it's like, okay, so I have to really wait for this damn thing to drop in price, because, you know, I want all this stuff. So I finally got it for cheap, so I could buy the DLC and not pay more than $20 for the whole thing, and because I'm cheap, you see, because I don't want to play on the handheld anyway. And I played Dual Destinies. That's one of the ones where, I think that might be the DLC episode, but it's one of the ones where I think your client is an orca. And you end up interrogating and cross-examining a killer whale. It's pretty great. I forget what happens. I think the killer whale is framed for murder or something like that. These games are wonderful. But I was thinking, wait a minute. Was there a sixth Phoenix Wright game? So I Google. I'm like, there was! Phoenix Wright Spirit of Destiny. And I was like, oh yeah! That's the one where there's like, where they have like the mystical pool where it shows the murder victim's last few seconds. And so you can see what the murder victims saw in the last few seconds of their life, and you have to find inconsistencies in what they saw. Like, they saw your client standing over them about to brain him with a brick. It's like, alright, well, he's obviously guilty. No, there's an inconsistency. So, I was like, how did I miss this game? Google. Oh, it was digital only. That's how I missed it. Because it was probably always $40. I actually looked up Layton and the Azran Legacy, or whatever that last one's called. It's still $40. But, Phoenix Wright 6... just so happened to be on sale for $12. So I got it. And I've been playing it this week. Well, I got it... I couldn't get it right away because I didn't have any room on my 3DS, and I've never changed out that card, so I actually kind of like... where's the card in my 3DS? And I had to rummage through my drawers to see if I had an old SD card. And I happen to have an old 2 gig SD card just floating around on my desk somewhere, so... now I have an SD card that's just floating loose. That's all my 3DS games, and one more card that's just Ace Attorney 6. So, Chicago, does the killer whale speak English, or do you speak Orca? Neither. And I'll leave it there. But I think you actually... I think you interrogate a parrot in the first Ace Attorney game, if I'm not mistaken. So, it's not like interviewing animals is... having animals take the stand is unheard of in that series. Really charming, wonderful games. I enjoy them. I'm enjoying 6, and looking forward to playing some more of Ace Attorney. The great Ace Attorney tomorrow. All right. So, last week, I had offhandedly mentioned that I got booty called a couple weeks prior. And I had dismissed the call as my friend was not serious. She was just drunk and horny. And that was pretty much where I ended it. Chicago says you can pop your SD card into PC, copy the folder, and copy the folder to a new SD card, and then download Ace Attorney. Oh, you can? Oh, alright. Well, I could just, keep that stuff backed up on my PC. That's good to know. Thanks. Anyway, so I just mentioned that last week as a funny anecdote. So I spoke to a said friend this week, and there's an update to this booty call story. And that update is as follows. I was indeed correct in saying that she was drunk and horny. But what I did not realize, and what I found out this week when I heard from her, is she has literally no memory of that call. And we were on the phone for over 2 hours. Is that right? Yeah, it was I actually hadn't spoken to her since for several months, so that's why we could chat so long. Had lots to talk about. But I thought that was pretty funny. I mean, I didn't realize she was drunk at the time. Well, actually, I mean, when I was talking to her, she wasn't, like, slurring her words or anything. But she was a bit ribald in her topics of discussion on occasion. But then I thought about it later. I'm like, she was drunk once. She'd been drinking. Which she has 3 kids. I don't blame her for drinking. I've met her kids. I don't drink. But if I had her kids, I would probably drink too. But yeah, she does not remember that conversation at all. At all. Because I had emailed her, I think, early in the week. I forget what I was talking to her about, probably telling her about my termites or something like that. And I had made reference to our conversation of weeks past. And then she emailed me back. She's like, I'm looking at this email. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm like, oh my god, you have no memory of this. No! Wow. I mean, I understand, kiddo, but maybe cut back on the gin. Gin and tonic water is her drink of preference. Getting drunk brings out her alter ego. I don't know that I'd consider it an alter ego. She is a very unabashedly sexual person. She doesn't have she's not shy is how I'll phrase it. She'll talk about any topic that she feels like talking about. So, for her to for her to get a bit lewd with her comments, not uncommon. Especially when you talk to a big dork like me. A lot of my female friends really do get a kick out of teasing me in that manner, because I guess they know that it's safe to do so. Also, we don't even live in the same state, so but no, I don't. Like, I've been around her before when I've never noticed a difference between sober and drunk, other than I honestly do not remember any of our conversation. She has no memory of it. She also sent me so she called me, I think, like at 11 o'clock at night, and so we talked till like 1 in the morning. Then I went to bed because I had work in the morning. And she texted me at like 4 a.m. And I stared at this text for like 3 minutes because I couldn't get my eyes to focus. And I can't remember what it said. I could probably look it up. It doesn't matter. It was some... Let's see. Come on, phone. Don't forget to practice. I don't know. She doesn't remember that either. She don't know what the hell she's talking about. So that was pretty funny. Alright. It is hot in here. But in another couple of months, maybe it'll be less hot. Good gracious. Let's talk about What If. So last week I talked about What If Episode 1, and I had said that while I enjoyed it, everything except the aesthetic anyway, I really don't like the way it looks. I mean, it's not like hideous, I just don't care for it. I don't think it looks very good. But I enjoyed the first episode, but my big critique was, what if Peggy Carter takes the super soldier serum instead of Steve Rogers? Well, according to the episode 1, the answer is not much. Not much changes. It's you get pretty much beat for beat the same movie. Oh, there are some differences, certainly. But it's mostly the same movie. And I found that a little disappointing. So episode 2 is, what if the Ravagers kidnapped T'Challa instead of Peter Quill? And going into it, I was afraid that, are we just going to get essentially Guardians of the Galaxy again, just with a different character? Thankfully, no. T'Challa being abducted by the Ravagers changes a lot. You actually don't get the same movie, which I thought was really wonderful. You still get Star-Lord running into Korath? What's his name? Did something Hansu, I think the actor's name is. Can't remember his name. But, you know, where he's stealing the purple gem from the planet. You know, that scene, it starts there, and then from there it takes off somewhere else. And they do go to nowhere to face off against the Collector, but the context is completely different. The encounter is completely different. The resolution is completely different. The so-called Guardians of the Galaxy are completely different. It's that's what I wanted to see. You know, what if we make this small change? Oh, huge ripple effect. That's great. What if we make this small change? Not much changes. That's not as interesting. And I admit it's probably a fine line. Because what if we make this small change? It's completely different, nothing is the same. Well, then you don't have the opportunity to play on expectations or turn certain things on their head, because they're not there anymore. So there is a line between changing too much and changing not enough, and I think this second episode did a really nice job of finding that balance. And I hope the subsequent episodes are just as successful. Cafe Fox points out something that I agree with. Now, I don't understand how he got the nickname Star-Lord. That was the name that Peter's mother used to call him when he was little. Yeah, Star-Lord is a nickname Peter's mom had for him, so that's why he adopted it. I have no idea why T'Challa is called Star-Lord. I agree with that. That stuck out to me too. I'd also criticize that Marvel has done a wonderful job getting most of the voice cast to, but in the recording booth to voice the characters that they portrayed in the films. Some of them are just not very good at voiceover. In the first episode, I had singled out Sebastian Stan. Sebastian, we love you, buddy, but voiceover, yeah, it was struggling. Now the dialogue wasn't doing you any favors there, mate, but yeah, that was struggling. You weren't alone though. Whoever plays Dum Dum Dugan, yeah, similar problem. Couple others. On this one, Benicio del Toro reprises his role as the Collector, but you'd never know. It doesn't sound a thing like him. The performance is really weird and doesn't... Yeah, he's not very good at playing himself. It's kind of weird. But, overall, it was a... again, I really don't like the aesthetic of the show. It's not working at all. It's weirdly lit. I don't think the cell shading looks good. I think the models, they look a little bit better. The non-humans, the less human they are, the better it looks, but most of the characters are at least human-ish, and they just look really weird. Sometimes they don't even look like stylized versions. They look like almost weird caricatures that you would see on like a YouTube show that someone does. Like, I can't think of any examples. I don't know. Like the characters on How It Should Have Ended. I mean, they're cute and they work for that style of that show that's drawn by probably very few people, and you know it's done real. It's not a huge production. It's not hugely expensive. I expect better from the Disney show. I just don't think this particular aesthetic is working for it. Oh well. Luckily, the Star Wars animated thing that they're doing in the next end of next month, something like that. If one of the styles isn't working for you, all 7, 8, 9 episodes, whatever it is, are done in different styles. So if one's not working for you, better luck next week. Sadly, it looks like all the what ifs are a consistent style, and I'm just not really digging it. Oh well, maybe season 2 will iron it out. So, earlier this week, I was doing my laundry because I didn't want to be naked the next day. And my laundry room is outside the building. I do not have a washer and dryer in my unit. So I came back in. I had my laundry basket and I had my bottle of liquid detergent in the laundry basket. And as I turned around to close my door, the gallon of liquid laundry detergent tumbled out of the basket and fell on the floor onto its cap, which shattered the cap, which dumped about a quarter gallon of liquid laundry detergent on my floor. So I had a gigantic puddle of liquid laundry detergent, half on the linoleum and half on the carpet. It seems counterintuitive, but it's very hard to wash soap off the floor, especially out of carpet, because you can wipe all you want, it's just going to keep sudsing. So that took a while to clean. Yeah, I mean, unintuitive, I mean like... do you ever think about washing the inside of your soap bottle? Like if you have hand soap on the bathroom sink and you buy refills, you know, instead of just buying new hand stuff, you actually buy a big bottle of soap and then take the top off, put new soap in, put the top back on. Yeah, you should wash that thing out every once in a while. And that's unintuitive, right? Why would I need to wash the inside of a bottle of soap? I mean, the inside of a container that holds nothing but soap should be super clean, right? It's like when you're a kid and your parents say, now wash the dishes before you load them into the dishwasher. Well, what the hell is the dishwasher for if I have to wash the dishes before I put them in the dishwasher? But yeah, you need to wash the dishes before you put them in the dishwasher, and you need to clean the inside of your soap bottle every now and then. And if you dump a lot of liquid detergent on your floor and your carpet, God help you. That's that was a thing. But that spot of carpet right there, whoo, sparkling. It's almost pure white. Pokémon. Pokémon is a scam and I don't like it. I actually am fortunate, I think. I don't like not liking things, but sometimes I'm okay with not liking things because it means I don't have to deal with something difficult. I'm not... the Pokemon's gameplay has never interested me. I don't care for the actual RPG series of Pokemon. I don't find them fun to play. It's just not my game. I don't think it's bad. It's just not for me. Which is good, because I don't think I could bring myself to put any money towards a scam franchise like Pokemon. And what I mean by that is, since the beginning, what they do is they sell you the same game twice. Until they make a special edition that combines the two a couple of years later. So, Pokemon Red and Blue, it's the same game. Are there differences? Yeah. You know, it's usually, a couple of the monsters can only be found in this version. And in this version, you're fighting this team instead of you go to the rock gym instead of the water gym. That's about it. It's a cosmetic change. There are a couple of unique monsters, but otherwise, it is exactly the same game. And they do that on purpose. And I will have none of that. Now, that's easy for me to say because I'm not interested in Pokemon even if they did sell it as one game. But, man, imagine if they did that for something I really cared about, like the Yakuza games. Imagine if they released Yakuza 7, or well, they already did 7. Yakuza 8 Red and Yakuza 8 Blue. And, and the difference is, like a couple of the stores, like there's different items in different stores. Like it's the same narrative, it's the same game. Some of this, like a couple of the side quests are different. They're like actually the same side quest, but it's a different person who gives you the side quest. If Yakuza did that, I would have to think long and hard about... I might actually drop out of the series. I might say, you know what? No. Nope. You pull that crap, you get 0 from me. I will not stand for it. And I know Nintendo and Pokemon Company have always said, oh, it's to encourage people to play to get... No, it's not. It's to encourage people to buy the same game twice. Don't lie to me. No one's that stupid. That's a fig leaf. That's a smokescreen. That's bullshit. Oh, we just do that to make sure that... No, you don't. No, you don't. You do it because you can get away with it. And my not participating in that, even if that happened to a series I was actually into, it's not going to matter to you one way or the other, because just me saying no doesn't make a difference, really. Yakuza 8 Switchblade, Yakuza 8 Uzi. There you go, Chicago. Chicago's sick of Pokemon, says I'm not interested. Please stop showing me ads for it everywhere. Yeah. Cafe Fox says I got it 3/4 of the way through Pokemon X, I guess, and that was it. Never felt like completing it. Yeah. Pokemon X and Pokemon Y. Did they do like a Pokemon Z? I don't think they did. I don't recall. Firelight. It says, hello, not just the game but the hundreds of plushies and etc. sold for the mount like Pokemon. I think Pokemon is cute. Like, I think Pikachu is adorable. You know? I like the design. A lot of them. I mean, some of them are garbage. I mean, there's nearly 1,000 of them. Not all of them are going to be great. But, you know, Pikachu's adorable. A lot of them are just absolutely adorable. I certainly do not begrudge Nintendo and Pokemon Company and anyone else for selling plushies. Certainly not. That's awesome. But selling the same game twice, that's sleazy. And I don't like it. But the point I was making here... Actually, I was making a completely different point. What I really wanted to talk about was Pokemon... Did I write down the name? Oh, crap. I didn't even write down the name. Hang on. Pokemon Arceus something? The big open world RPG one. Come on. Oh, no, it's not on Nintendo's channel. It's on Pokemon's channel. Sorry. Yeah, I watched the Pokemon Direct. Oh, God, I don't know why. I'm such a dork. And I'm going to watch the half-an-hour Pokemon Direct, even though I really, really, genuinely do not care. Pokémon Legends Arceus. There we go. So, we first saw Pokémon Legends Arceus either at E3 last year or like in January at a Nintendo or Pokemon Direct. I don't remember. We saw it many, many months ago. And it looked like ass. I mean, it was appallingly bad. I mean, just from a technical visual standpoint, it looked really, really bad. And I looked at it and went, okay, well, I like the idea of a big open world RPG Pokemon. That's something that Pokemon fans have been asking for years. Decades. But this looks like ass. Luckily, this is probably still a year or two away, so, you know, the visuals haven't come together yet. They'll work on it. Well, they showed a new trailer for Pokemon Legends Arceus a couple days ago, and it looks better. It does look appreciably better than it did 7 or 8 months, a year ago, however long ago it was that we last saw it. It still looks like ass. I mean, even by Switch standards, it looks unbelievably bad. Not from an aesthetic standpoint. Aesthetically, it's Pokemon. It looks like Pokemon. It's fine. I mean from a technical standpoint. And again, even by Switch's standards, this is... I hesitate to say incompetent, but it really looks like... who is it? Game Freak is doing that one? It really I think it's Game Freak. It really looks like whoever the developer behind this game is just does not know how to make 3D games. It is... Visually, the game is incredibly noisy. There's a lot of artifacting. There's incredible amounts of shimmer. The textures are muddy and ugly. The characters are incredibly low poly. There are almost no effects on the water. Like the water is like a plane and the Pokemon is just sitting in it, and there's very little actual effects where the Pokemon actually interacts with the surface of the water. Even the reflection that shows below the Pokemon that's swimming in the water isn't just bad, and it is bad. It's entirely wrong. I don't know what they were thinking. You've got your fish Pokemon sitting in the water, right? And you can see... Imagine a duck sitting in the water, okay? And now imagine the water is peaceful and calm, and you can see right through it because that's just how clean and pristine this lake is that this duck is sitting in. So you look at the duck, and you see the duck's body and head. And you look below the waterline, and you can see the duck's belly and its little duck feet kicking so that it keeps floating and moving around, right? But you also see on the surface of the water a reflection of the duck. So you will see on the surface of the water the top half of the duck reflected off the surface of the water, while also seeing duck butt because you're looking through the surface of the water, right? In Pokemon Legends Arceus, what they do is they're just flipping the entire model under the model. So you're looking through the model at the bottom of the thing, and it's reflecting below the model itself. That is not how reflections work. That's not even a mimicry of what it actually looks like. That is... I loathe how rude this sounds to people who are paid good money to make games and are very much better at this than I am. I mean, I couldn't do this. But it looks incompetent. And this game apparently is coming out in January. I imagine it will see some visual improvements yet in the next few months. 4 months or so. But wow. Pokemon Legends Arceus looks bad. Visually. Just from a technical visual standpoint, it looks like it was made by a developer that does not know how to build or work with a 3D engine. It's very, very bad, and they should feel bad. Let's see. Firelight says, I do begrudge them, though. Eevee is damn cute and keeps asking me to buy the plushie. Chicago says, I did get Pokemon Tournament for Wii U the other day. It's a fighting game. It was only $7. You know what? I like Pokemon Snap. I thought Hey You Pikachu back in the day was interesting. It was a failure because it barely worked, but it was really interesting. I like a lot of, and the tournament fighty stuff, like Pokemon Stadium was actually kind of neat. I admire, again, it's not really for me, but I liked the Detective Pikachu. I never actually played the game, but I thought it was a really cool idea. So I'm actually a lot more accommodating to the spin-offs of the game than I am the actual main series. Like the main series of Pokemon games, I'm not into, but the spin-offs I usually a lot of times I can think are pretty cool. But yeah, hey, let's just sell the same game twice. We'll make some slight differences just so it's not exactly the same game, but it's the same game. Same game. You know how they do, like 10 years later, they'll do a remake of a game, or a remaster, and it'll have some slight differences, like Wind Waker and Wind Waker HD. Are there differences between the two? Yeah. More than cosmetic? Yeah. Now imagine if they sold Wind Waker and Wind Waker HD at the same time. This analogy doesn't really work because one is technically better than the other and is sold on hardware that didn't exist back when the first one came out. But my point is while there are definite differences, they're the same game. It's like, and you might ask, well, what about when someone releases a director's cut of a movie? I mean, they're selling you the same movie again. I mean, sure, there are differences, but really, it's the same movie, right? Yeah, kind of. But I don't recall, I'm sure it's happened, but I don't recall them, selling them as completely different movies simultaneously. It's usually like years later you get a director's cut. If they did Pokemon Red and then like a couple years later did like Pokemon Blue, it's got a couple different monsters. Then it feels like if you didn't play it the first time, here it is again. It's got some differences in case you did. It doesn't feel like we're selling you the same game twice. It feels like we're just selling the same game again with a couple tweaks just to keep you on your toes, keep it a little interesting. So, is that the one where people were says Chicago? Is that the one people exclaiming how great it looks because you can see the threading on the damn backpack? I don't know. So did they focus all their attention to detail on the Pokemon and the human, but leave the environment as basic as they could? Well, the environments are ugly and empty. But the characters, both the Pokemon and the humans, are very low poly. Again, even by Switch standards, they just look awful. So I don't know. Chicago says yes on that. I agree. The main series is just rehashing the same gameplay with newer graphics, same story. The spin-offs are more interesting. I don't mind that Pokemon has a formula. I mean, are each, Pokemon Red, Blue, and then Diamond and Pearl, and then XY, White, Black, Sword, Shield. Are they the same games? No, they're the same formula. You start in a town, you pick your starter, you go, you hit the gyms, you do the tournament, you're done. The details change, but the structure remains the same. That's okay. That's what sequels are. It's more the same with some tweaks. But it's new characters, new environments, new story, new side quests. They're not the same game. But Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue, Pokemon Diamond, Pokemon Pearl, X and Y, Sword and Shield, same game. There are some differences, but it's the same game. They're selling it twice. Because they can. Because it makes them more money. So. Alright, where is my topic list? So I had new anime recommended to me last week. Shadow's House and Charlotte. Shadow's House is on Funimation and will not play. So I couldn't watch it. I don't know what the problem is. I can watch every other show I tried on Funimation, but Shadow's House just doesn't play. So, appreciate the recommendation, but I guess I can't watch it because I've tried it like 3 times over the week. It just doesn't play. I hit play and the player just turns completely black and the control bar at the bottom disappears. So, I don't know. I actually did not check to see if it's just episode 1. So I don't know if it's a series or if it's just episode 1 of that series, but oh well. I did watch the first episode of Charlotte, though, which is on Crunchyroll. And actually watched the first 2 episodes. It's got a really interesting premise. So there is a high school kid who has a superpower of sorts. He can possess and take over other people. He can leave his body to possess other people for 5 seconds. That's the limit of his power. He can possess you and take control of your body for 5 seconds. Meanwhile, his body collapses because he's not in it anymore. So he uses this power mainly to cheat. So he's in high school and he figures out who the smart kids in class are. So he possesses them briefly and then looks at their answers and then goes back into his body, and that's how he cheats on the test. And he puts so much effort into this that he's like the school valedictorian, which doesn't seem like that would actually work and is more trouble than it's worth, but hey, takes a lot of work to be lazy. Well, it turns out he's not the only kid with superpowers. There's a bunch of them, and the government wants to dissect them. So he's found out by the League of Kids with Superpowers, and he gets forcefully recruited into the school of the League of Kids with Superpowers. And the premise of the show appears to be, we need to find other kids with superpowers and recruit them into this school to keep them hidden from the government. Also to keep them doing bad things. One guy has the ability to take photos without a like Polaroids, but without a camera, and the Polaroids show the subject sans clothing. So he can just take nudie pics of people without a camera. And he sells them to other people to make money for his family. Okay. So interesting setup. And I like the idea that all these kids have superpowers, but their superpowers have these weird limits to them. Like he can possess people, but only for 5 seconds. There's this other girl who can turn invisible, but only for one person at a time. So she can only be invisible to one person. Everyone else can see her. So it's that kind of a thing. That's an interesting setup. Reverend says, too bad you couldn't watch Shadow's House. I think you'd liked it. I'll probably try it again. Now, I imagine it's just some weird thing. I should probably write into Funimation and say, hey, this appears to be broken. Or maybe I could try another browser. I don't know. Again, every other thing I tried works, so I don't know. So, will I watch more of Charlotte? No. Because as much as I think the premise is interesting, I just genuinely don't like any of the characters. Especially the lead sister. She is annoying as hell. So, oh well. Yeah, just none of the characters are grabbing me. But that does lead me to two interesting topics. Our protagonist's little sister, who's really annoying, has the habit of referring to herself in the third person. Now, I see this a lot, usually with young characters, so I don't know if that's just kind of a, like, Japanese cultural baby talk. Like, when kids are really young, they speak of themselves in the third person. That's just a very immature way to speak. I don't know if that's the case, but I do see that a lot with young characters. The other thing I notice in a lot of anime is our protagonist and his little sister, like so many anime characters, their parents are either dead or out of the country. Is this a common thing in Japan? Are there just like a ton of kids with no guardians at all? They just live alone and fend for themselves? Is that a thing that happens with fair frequency in Japan? Or is this just we don't want to worry about the parents, they're not important to the story, so we just have them working in America or dead? I don't know. I don't know. But it is an interesting. It's like if you're an anime protagonist, your parents are probably dead, or at least working overseas. Because I swear to God, all these damn kids, they have no parents. They just fend for themselves somehow. I don't know if that's like a like just a fantasy. For a lot of Japanese folks, it's like, man, if I didn't have to worry about my parents growing up, or just a storytelling thing to get the parents out of the way, because none of this would work if they had parents. It's not ubiquitous, of course. There are plenty of kids that actually do have family members. Light Yagami from Death Note actually has a family in his home. Of course, they're actually an important part of the story. Usagi, what's her face from Sailor Moon, of which I've only seen one episode, but I did like the episode I saw. She's got a mom, and I think a sibling? I don't remember, but she definitely has a mom, and she didn't, at least in the first episode, really play into the plot. She didn't have to be there. So, Reverend says, it happens a lot in anime, especially harem anime. Yeah, it would be really difficult to have a harem when your parents are home. How awkward would that be? Unless it's a hentai, then I guess your parents are in the harem. Alright, so, couple more quick topics. So, George Romero, you know him, you love him, because he makes good movies, or made good movies. He's dead now. That's a shame. Seemed like a cool guy. But he made the the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead. Which one's my favorite? I think I lean more Day, but it really depends on the mood I'm in, which is a Gem song. I could go Night, Dawn, or Day depending on when you ask me. I think generally I lean towards Day of the Dead, but I really do like all three of them. So SyFy, or SyFy, is making a Day of the Dead television series. Will it be good? Well, I don't know. The bar's pretty damn low, because they made a new Day of the Dead movie in the early 2000s. It was apparently really garbage, and I think they've remade it twice since then, and they've all been garbage. So, hey, can't hurt anything. So, SyFy, whatever it's called, released a show poster earlier this week. Would you like to see it? Let me show you the show poster. So, here's the new Day of the Dead show poster for the new series starting October 15th on SyFy. Now, I'm not a graphic artist. I am not in sales or marketing. So this may just be me. But if you're pitching to fans of such a beloved franchise as the Of the Dead films, you got the rights to make a TV series of Day of the Dead, and you're trying to get, Romero movie fans all excited for it, maybe having a zombie giving the middle finger to your logo, or possibly the audience, maybe not the best poster concept. Day of the Dead! Day of the Dead! We have such respect for this that we're giving the logo and or the audience the finger. I think it's drawn well. I think it's composed well. I like the color scheme. I just don't know why this zombie is raising its middle finger. It's middle fingering the logo. That is a weird choice. I'll still check it out if I can. I don't have TV, so hopefully SyFy has like a website where I can watch its shows, which maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Also, I forget which channel it is, but someone's doing a Chucky TV series, and I really, really want to watch that because I love the Child's Play franchise. But USA? I don't remember. But again, I don't have cable, so I may not be able to watch it, which makes me very sad. And finally, I would like to address the Escapist, which is a website that I've actually written for before. So, it's been years, though. I wrote for the first version of the Escapist. I've not even submitted anything for the new version, which has been around for a couple of years now. So Escapist just updated its website and did that thing that I hate. And all entertainment websites seem to do this at one point or another. Sir Third says they want the Zombieland audience. I didn't like Zombieland. At all. I know that's a really popular movie and a lot of people really liked it, but I didn't like it at all. I didn't think it was funny. I didn't think it was charming or good. I'm not mad at the movie. I don't have anything against anyone who did like it, but I was actually excited for it. I'm like, oh, great. And I watched it and went, this is not for me. That sucks. So I never saw the sequel. Also says, by the way, SyFy/USA is doing Chucky. Oh, so SyFy own USA now? Okay, so it's the same thing. So, well, hopefully I can watch it, because I'd like to check out... I definitely want to see the Chucky series. Day of the Dead, I have no faith in actually being good, but I'd certainly like to check it out. Anyway, so the Escapist updated its layout to do that thing where instead of doing a blog roll, which is what all websites should do always, because that's how I consume my entertainment websites. And what that means is, when you publish a new article, it goes to the top of the stack. And then you publish another one, and everything shifts down in the new article. And the new, and the new, and the new. So when you go to the website, you just scroll down into where you left off, and then you read up. That way you don't miss anything. Instead, the Escapist is now doing that thing that all websites seem to do eventually, where they just shotgun blast their articles just randomly all over the page. Guaranteeing that if you browse a site by its homepage, its front page, you will miss stuff. Luckily, there's a latest updates, or latest tab, so I updated my bookmark from escapist.com to escapist.com/latest, which is exactly what I did with Chud back when that site was around. Because it used to be a blog roll site, and then they changed it to that dumb damn thing where they just put crap all over the place, and it just shows up all over. So you have duplicate articles, and you'll miss stuff. Luckily, they had a latest updates tab, so I just updated my bookmark. So now, I mean, it's fine. I guess there's an SEO reason to do that. I guess most people prefer to I guess most viewers prefer randomly scattershot articles and don't care that they're missing anything. I don't know why, but okay. But at least most of the sites have a latest updates tab that I can bookmark so that I don't miss anything. So I can just scroll down to where I left off and read up and, skip anything I'm not interested in, but at least I can see everything. I guess I'm just weird in how I read. I mean, when y'all are reading books, do you just, rip all the pages out of the binding and then throw it in the air and then just grab them off the floor at random? I mean, some of the pages might get lost under the couch and you never see them. I don't know. It's just weird to me because it's such a foreign way to me of consuming website entertainment. I just don't get that. And I had an argument with someone at IGN years ago when IGN first did that. God, who was it? I don't remember. But I had an argument with them, and I'm like... And I was talking to them, I'm like, I don't understand why you do it this way. And I grabbed a screenshot of their site and I marked it up with arrows. I'm like, look, here's the old site. Everything is in a list. I can see everything. Here's the new site. First of all, your top banner is taking up 70% of the page. I can't see anything except one story. The old way, I could see 8 stories at the same time. Now I can only see the top. So I scroll down, and the same story is right below it. Again. And then you've got this section over here, which is out of the way, and it actually duplicates the story up top and has some other... And I pointed all this stuff out, and I guess I'm just in the minority on this one. I've talked about this before. But, I mean, at the end of the day, as long as these websites always have a latest updates tab that I can read to see the, latest updates, so I don't miss anything, so that I make the decision as to whether I want to read something or not, and I don't not read something because I never saw it, because stuff is just randomly scattershot around the page. I am a different folks. And so I have different strokes. Serge says at least they're not making the articles look like PowerPoint slides where you have to click next to keep reading. I can't think of anyone who does that, but that does sound awful. That does remind me of something, though. Let's see. OWAT cosplay? When I saw the title of the video, I started laughing. Well, I'm glad. I titled it that way because I thought it was funny. Jared says, are you still keeping up with any of the anime that you have talked about? Yeah, I actually talked about some anime a little earlier in the episode. So back to the PowerPoint slide thing. I have seen something I do see. I don't remember who does this, but let's talk about listicles. And then we'll close the podcast because it's getting late. Listicles. That's the top 10 or top 25 NES games with anthropomorphic animal characters. You know? Listicles are fine. They can be fun. 10 things you didn't know about sausage. Whatever. You won't believe these 15 pizza toppings. Okay. "10 Disney princesses with less than 10 fingers." What? Click. So, listicles. Just articles that list stuff. A lot of people look at it as the laziest form of journalism, and it may well be, but they can be fun. Lists are fun. We like lists. Humans like lists. What this human does not like about lists, I'm human, in case there was any I am human. May not act like it at times, but I am. Totally. I mean, I would definitely lie about it if I were not, but I'm not lying about it. I'm human. And this human will not abide by the horrible, horrible practice of writing a listicle and putting one entry on each page. You pull that poop, and I will not read your list. I won't even read the first entry. I will click away. I mean, I guess you already got my click, but you do that more than once, and now I will start recognizing your website, and I won't go there anymore, so harumph. And I have to imagine that's a page views ads thing, the reason they do that. They'll put one item on the list per page. Don't do that. Don't do that. The consequences for doing that is at least this person, who is human, will not read it. Now, I'm not saying you can't have page breaks. I'm not saying you can't have a page 2. I mean, if something is, if you write an article that's 35,000 words long, okay, fine. Yeah, you probably can break that up over multiple pages. But, I mean, if you're doing a list of 10 things and each thing is only about a paragraph, you can put that all in one page. Even if you have a list of 10 and 5 are on one page and 5 are on the other, I'll cut you some slack, that's fine. One item on each page? Nah, man. Nah. I will not stand for that. I will not sit for that. I will not lay down for that. I will not levitate for that, which is something I cannot do because I'm human. Humans can't levitate. And neither can I. Being human, you see. Do I call it tier list listing stuff because I like reading stuff? Oh, tier lists are usually something different. That's more of a YouTube thing, I think. That's more of a... It's kind of the same thing as a listicle, but it's more of a specific ranking thing, like tier lists are usually like a 15 best waifus in this anime with lots of waifus in it. Or like we're going to rank all 14 weapons in Monster Hunter, or all 35, 40 monsters in Monster Hunter Rise. We'll just, A tier, B tier, C, all the way down to F, right? We may even have an S tier. So tier lists are a bit, I would say, are distinct from listicles. They're normally done in video form, but a lot of times a listicle can be a top 10 of something. But a tier list is usually not a ranking, but these things are A rank. This group of things are A rank, these group of things are B rank, so on and so forth. So those can be fun. I honestly don't care, but I guess it depends on what you're ranking. But if you're like a Monster Hunter, if you're super into Monster Hunter, and you're following someone and you see one of your favorite YouTube personalities doing a tier list of monsters in Monster Hunter Rise, you may be like, oh, I wonder, this personality who I enjoy, I wonder what they think, where my monster ends up on their list. And then I can agree with them or tell them how silly they are. Politely. It's the most scary abandoned place in the U.S. Anime Momo, hello. 40 clicks. Yeah. So listicles. If you're doing a list of things, that's fine. I'm not going to call you a lazy writer. Those can be fun. If you do nothing but that, maybe expand your horizons. But if you found your niche and you're good at what you do, go for it. All I ask is you don't put one item on each page, because that's annoying, and I won't read your fine work if you do that. All right, and so ends another episode of Molehill Mountain. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by. Join me tomorrow at noon Pacific Standard Time, and we will play some more great Ace Attorney. Hopefully we'll actually get to the court and see some legal shenanigans this time. Because we played a bit 2 weeks ago, and it played it for like 5 hours, and just barely got to someone dying. That's how long-winded these games can be. But they are still charming and fun. So I hope you'll join me tomorrow again, noon Pacific Standard Time, for some, what's his name? Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I think his name is. The Great Ace Attorney. So, have I watched My Hero Academia? I watched the first episode. Did I do a debut review for that? Let me look real quick. Academia? Yeah, I did. Let me pop a link in the chat here. There you go. So yeah, I did watch. I watched the first episode of My Hero Academia, December 8th, 2017. So it's been several years. As I recall, the first episode didn't do much for me. But if you want more details, link is in the chat there. So, that's it for tonight. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by, and I hope to see you tomorrow for some game streaming fun. Good night, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.